Hello ladies and gents, Romie Reviews here. Please like, comment, subscribe. Yes, so for my new channel, Romie Whispers ASMR or ASMR, the new video will be up tomorrow afternoon. So essentially, anytime after 12 p.m. or possibly a little bit earlier, but I may do like a midday release. That would sound nice. But let's jump into this. We start off with Jonathan. Jonathan meets up with Mariah Lynn, and he meets up with Sydney Starr. His whole purpose is Sydney apologizes and realizes she was doing too much. Ryan accepts her apology. Mariah Lynn is just like, look, I understand how it is to be the underdog. I said, Mariah Lynn, unfortunately, you're still an underdog. But Sydney wants to have a good relationship with Nia. I'm thinking that's not going to happen because you're too goofy. You're too goofy. Too goofy. Too goofy, too immature. And I'm like, you're not old, but you're not the youngest spring chicken either. So for you to kind of act like this. Anyway. Now we see that Kimbella is so happy to have her man. And she's kissing, rubbing up, filling up on him. And his mom is there. His mom is there because I guess court order mandates that she has to be his, she's his guardian. She's his supervisor. So while they're kissing and making out and I'm grossed out, we have his mom just there like, okay, so what's going on? I'm thinking, go away. Respectively, go away. You don't want to see that. Now we see Rich. He takes a road trip to, what was it, to Missouri or Mississippi, one of those M's. Either way, it wasn't a positive M. To go and be with his ex and his daughter because his ex could possibly go to jail. And it's frustrating because he's talking to her and she's still acting like, oh, everything will be fine. First off, she has a public defender because she didn't have the money. Fine. Fair enough. She has 3 kids. Understandably. Problem is, Rich apparently put up the bond for her. And she was just like, you already put up the bond. So I figured he's looking at you like, what? Are you even taking this seriously? She's in La La Land. I think to emotionally make sure that she can still be strong for her kids, she's in denial. And she's in grade A denial. And that is dangerous. Dangerous. And he's so upset. He's so upset and scared for her because it's like, what's the public defender saying? Okay, well, it could be anything from 2 to 20 years. I said, or probation for at least 2 years, but she would have to plead guilty and it would stay on her record forever. I'm thinking, honey bunches, the state will have no issue taking you to trial. And that's what Rich was trying to explain to her, but she was still in denial. And that was scary. Very scary. While all of that's happening, we have Mariah Lynn. She's with Nia Lee as well as Jonathan. They're all in one car. In the other car is Sid, Kimbella. They're having fun. And guess who comes in their car? Sydney Starr. She doesn't do the whole, she's a transgender queen. She comes in like, oh, it's Sydney Starr. And la la la. I'm just here to have fun. And you know, I'm a little extra, but it's going to be okay. And the other 2 ladies are looking at her like, all right, this chick is a lot. But she could be fun, so we'll give her a shot. Sydney puts it out there that she has issues with Nia Lee, and she hopes that she can fix it. She did mess up the dress that Nia gave her, so who knows? And they're all looking at her like, who is this chick? Where'd she come from? No, seriously, where did she come from? But aside from all of that, Nia asked Jonathan flat out, did you invite, it's a girls trip, did you invite Sydney? Because I feel like you would do something like that. And he didn't really answer that. He kind of moved on to something else. Alexis Sky, clearly, her storyline is she's not filming with anyone else. She's just filming with the people at Treyway, and that's it. Because I don't think I've seen her with anyone else except for them. I keep forgetting she's on the show. And the only reason why she probably was on this episode is because there was a shooting. There was a luncheon and there was a shooting, and I remember when that happened. So she was scared. She went back home and she was like, at this point, I may need to sever ties and just put out music and do my own thing, because at least then I could do my own thing, whether it's successful or not. Because this life is crazy. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're dealing with some real gangsta mess over there. That's not a game over there. You have to be very careful. So now Group A came to the vineyard first. Jonathan, he rented out part, or I should say, him and production, they rented out part of the vineyard because they know that it was going to be a mess. Remember, it's cold at this point. So we have Sydney Starr wearing a mini dress, or maybe it was a mini skirt, I don't know. Everyone else at least had jackets on, but Sydney was dressed as if it was summertime in New York. But the other ladies were wearing shoes as if they were going to a rooftop bar. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. So Sydney wanted to talk to Nia, and it doesn't go well because Sydney's apologizing, but Sydney is still Sydney. So Nia's looking at her like she's a joke, and as if Sydney's taking this whole thing as a joke, and it's infuriating Nia. And that's why Nia just didn't have time for Sydney. She didn't have time for her shenanigans. Not a lick. So Sydney said, "Are we good?" Nia said, "No, we're not good. We'll take it one step at a time." Because Sydney said she wanted a third. No. A third? No. No. No means no. So now they're looking at how the grapes are, squashed and processed. That means now it's time to get to stomping. And we have Mariah Lynn and Sydney Starr in this big bucket stomping on the grapes. There weren't that many grapes in there, so clearly they weren't going to use those. But I said, and Sid said, these women with their nasty, gnarled feet went in there and stomped on my wine. On my wine? No! No! So anywho, then the group separates, and we have Kimbella talking to Mariah Lynn, and they barely ever talk or get a chance to talk. So now they're talking, and things take a turn. Not for them in a bad way, but things take a turn in the sense that Kimbella and Mariah Lynn, they have a new enemy, Yandy. Mariah Lynn is hurt and offended because she feels like she's not sure if Yandy took in Infinity, the foster child, took her in for the right reasons. And it pisses her off because she was a foster child herself, and she knows that a foster child needs a lot of love, support, attention, and affection. And if Yandy isn't doing this for the right reasons, Yandy just needs to dip out sooner than later, because if she does it later, it'll really mess her up. And Kimbella said, I 100% agree. Yandy's the type of person who will go and do things for the gram, and then in real life, not live up to them. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are we really making something out of potentially nothing? Is that what we're doing? Yes, we are. Why did I even ask that? Look at the show. Of course we are. Things again take a turn because everything was cool for 2.5 seconds, and then Nia Lee gets irritated and irked by Sydney because Sydney wants to go and ask for forgiveness again. And then we say, okay, but what happened in the first place? That's when Sydney acknowledged she did buck at Nia Lee. And when I tell you, all those women were like, you bucked at her? What is wrong? Why would you buck? Everyone was perturbed. Everyone was confused. Why would you buck at her? Why would you do that? So then Nia was just like, I'm tired of giving her a bunch of chances because then Sydney was like, yeah, I did that because I want her to shut the Who are you? I'm thinking, why are we having this conversation after drinks? Why are we having conversations like this after drinks? Who did the thinking for this? So now the team split up, and Sid wanted to go and talk to talk to Sydney. Sid didn't want to go and deal with the pettiness, so she figured Sydney's by herself, she can handle that. So she went over to Sydney. Now it's Mariah Lynn and Kimbella talking about Yandy with Jonathan and Nia. And it's still the same thing. Jonathan's upset because he's like, Yandy's my friend, and I can't have you talk bad about her and me not say anything. That would be fake and phony. Kimbella said, Jonathan, I love you. I have no problems with you defending her because I used to be the same person that's doing what you're doing now for her. So I have no problems with you. We're fine. I'm going to go and exit stage left because I don't want this to be an argument, because it doesn't need to be an argument. That's not what I was here for. That's not what I'm trying to do. I don't believe that Yandy's doing anything for the right reasons. She always does things for the gram. Mariah Lynn is co-signing, and so then Mariah Lynn goes and takes Kimbella's place and continues on with the conversation, and Mariah Lynn is just like, she gets offended because she hears Jonathan talk about how, the people that he's gonna cape for the most, or cares about the most, or talk about the most, it's gonna be Nia and Yandy. That's what he said. That's what he said in that moment in regards to this small meetup situation. Of course, Mariah Lynn did not like that. She took that very personally. And so then she didn't go off. She said, okay, well, if I'm not, a close friend, and my friendship or whatever we have doesn't matter as much as these other ladies, then that means that I don't need to be here for this. And so then Nia Lee was just like, ooh, child. Who knew the power of ooh, child? That's when Mariah Lynn does a U-turn, comes back up the steps, and starts talking. The voice slowly elevates until they're screaming at each other. Nia Lee versus Mariah Lynn. I'm thinking, what? Really? Because of an ooh, child? And so then Nia Lee was like, I don't have a problem with you. You're bringing a problem with me, which is pissing me off because I don't have a problem with you. I actually like you. What's the problem? Mariah Lynn said, look, but you're trying to play me. I know you're trying to play me. So then one thing leads to another. Nia Lee has had enough, so then she goes and she tries to swing on Mariah Lynn. Security catches her arm, so then security drags Mariah Lynn down close to the car. Mariah Lynn's calling Nia Lee, washed up, old, big bird, be this, be that, come and fight me, I'm ready, you know where the addy. I said, what? Oh, over ooh, child? Over ooh, child? See how dramatic that was? That's how much, just like that didn't make sense. The argument didn't make sense. So then they have to be separated. Nia Lee is crying in the bathroom because she's so upset herself for overreacting. She realizes she overreacted. And she's just like, to have someone take me out of my character when I'm attempting to be a better person. And I said, Mariah, calm down. Come on, what? So then they had to go. They had to go trip over. Now, the episode ends with Rich going to court with Miracle, and Miracle's talking to her public defender. The public defender saying, look, it's already a done deal. You just have to sign. I said, that does not sound good. Sign what? So then she talks to Rich, and this is where we find out that the public defender said that the public defender talks to Rich, and that's where we get the clarification that unfortunately, the judge doesn't want to hear what Miracle has to say. The judge doesn't want to plead. The judge wants to take this directly to trial and have a jury decide. I said, oh no. Oh no. And once they leave, Rich had to lay it out for her that the judge is spending money to use the state to spend money on a trial. You are going to get some jail time. You're going to be separated from your kids. We have to play this right or else it can be a lot worse. And Miracle finally broke down because she realized that, oh, This is serious. I'm going away. I'm going away. We're going away. My kids may not see me. So she was bawling and she was just like, oh. I said, oh, that's from the gut. I felt so bad. And Rich didn't know what to do. So he was like, okay, we have to leave. We have to leave. So they were outside and she was still crying and her daughter was holding her. Ashley was holding her. And so then Rich was like, it's going to be all right. We're going to figure this out together. This is a good episode. Please like, comment, subscribe. Come back next week.